host here. I'm proud to be in this room with all of you right now, celebrating those about to die. So we have a really cool lineup for you today. We're going to give you an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at the making of Season 1. We're going to talk about all cool, like, behind-the-scenes details and stories. And then I will also tease, we've got a little bit of a unique audience Q&A for you today that I think you're going to like. If you come up to the mic during that part of the event, we're going to ask you a trivia question. I swear they're all reasonable. Don't stress out too much. And if you get it right, you're going to get something really, really cool. I'm so excited to show that to you. And obviously, I can't do that in this whole discussion by myself. So it is my greatest joy to get to introduce you to the team behind Peacock's Those About to Die, beginning with the one and only director and executive producer, Roland Emmerich. Please join me in welcoming Iwan Rheon, who plays Tenax. We have Sara Martins, who plays Cala. Moe Hashim, who plays Kwame. Jojo Macari, who plays Domitian. Give a big round of applause to Gabriella Pession, who plays Antonia. And finally, Scorpus himself, Dimitri Leonidas. So much to discuss. Of course, beginning with you, Roland, right now. So I have a feeling a lot of the folks in this audience are very familiar with your feature filmmaking work, but Those About to Die marks your very first time working in television, which is a big deal. A couple questions about that. First, why particularly make a show about Rome in 79 AD? What is it about your filmmaking skill set that made you think I'd have a lot to bring to this in the TV realm?
Well, you know, what you learn the first is like how fast you have to shoot in TV, and you know, I had a co-director which, like, you know, did 5, I did 5, called Mark Kreuzbeitner. We always in the evening kind of were discussing what can you really do in these 10 hours, because you have only like 18, 20 days for each episode, so that's like just what you have.
Okay, so given the fact that you had to adjust to the speed, I'm going to flip that question around now. What is a new tool in your directing toolkit, so to speak, that you know you gained from making this show that you might apply to your future films?
I discovered actually something really interesting. I discovered what a volume stage is. And we had to kind of shoot there, and it more and more became about, you know, what can you do in a volume stage, and it's quite a lot. So I ended up shooting 108 days on a volume stage, which is, like, I think, a record.
Can you give us a little volume 101, just in case anyone doesn't know about that super cool technology?
It's a gigantic screen, a TV screen, which is 8 meter high, so, you know, it's more round. And you have to naturally kind of produce beforehand, shoot plates, and then also create like certain shots you want to have beforehand. And that's a very, very difficult thing to do.
The movie magic possibilities are endless.
Exactly.
Volume. It really excites me. So for the whole cast now, I'm a big fan of Roland's movies, and truly, it's a big reason that I'm here. I grew up totally obsessed with Independence Day, watched it over and over, and I still do to this day. For each of you, I want you to tell me your favorite Roland Emmerich movie, and then also something about him as an actor's director that you appreciated here.
Independence Day point, I told you this. And I think you're a director that trusts the cast and lets us sort of get on with it, but then also give us a wonderful note every now and then, which completely changes the way you do the scene. So it's, yeah.
I told you also that, funny enough, my favorite movie I think is Anonymous.
Yeah.
Because I think that William Shakespeare is such an interesting character, and also knowing the work of Roland, I was very excited to see what he would do with something historical like that. Same as Death in Paradise, how he would, deal with that.
I mean, for me, I would say a movie that I avoided watching, which was 2012. I've told you the story many times. As a kid, I actually thought the world was going to end in 2012. So when I saw that trailer, I was like, yeah, I'm not watching this. But working with Roland, similar to what Iwan said, is that calming presence that he gives you. I remember the first day, the day before we filmed, and I was like, oh, I'm a bit nervous, there's a lot going on. You're like, no, we're fine. And then we come to set the next day, and there's real lions and tigers and panthers, and I was like, okay, this doesn't seem very relaxed, but yeah.
Yeah. I remember watching Day After Tomorrow at school, blowing my mind. It's great, we've done a different one each time.
So easy, it's like, we do this wall and then we do this, yeah, of course. So that's it. He's a genius. I adore work with him. He's funny. He's shy. He's a bit shy, I guess. Yeah, he's a bit shy. But it has been an amazing journey, and thank you for this experience, Roland.
I think The Patriot is a film that I really loved growing up. It's also Rodat, right? Who wrote About to Die. So it's yeah, great combo the two of you have made throughout both your careers. And working with Roland it's amazing. Roland is demanding in the best way that a director can be, which is his expectation is high because so much effort from all the departments have gone into this, and it all really comes down to those days filming. All the prep is now behind you, and you're on set and you're doing it. And Roland's attitude from the first minute of the day to the last minute is, let's make this the best thing we can make it. I remember one day we had filmed something in the Chariot changing rooms, and we had shot it in one direction, facing the sort of the lockers at the back. And they were changing lens, and I saw Roland sat on the bench, and he was looking up and looking around the set. And then he stood up and he went, I think we should reshoot what we've done. It would look better if we're facing the other way. And we shot half the scene, and everyone just went, okay, let's do it. Because we're here for that. And I think that can be hard in the moment, because you're like, I really like that take, that's gone. But you sort of know in the back of your head that you're in safe hands, because Roland isn't going to accept something that he isn't happy with. And that just creates an environment for everyone, I think, where the bar is really high, and you know what is at stake, and you know that he isn't accepting anything that he doesn't like. And I think that's a wonderful thing for a director to have, and it's a real leadership quality, yeah.
So you've got a master at the helm over here, and then on top of that, you also are in an ensemble with an acting legend, Anthony Hopkins.
I thought you were going to say me. Well,
There's only one Scorpus on screen, and you own that role. I'll give you that credit. Anthony Hopkins questions. First one for you, Roland. What is it like pitching a TV series to someone like him? Is it just about calling him up and saying, this is what I have for you?
We kind of sent him the scripts, and he immediately said yes. And he was the first guy we actually approached, and I was like totally surprised that he was like interested. And then what I then learned on the set, he kind of knew so much about Rome, and was such an intelligent man, and that naturally why he was also wanted to be in a series like that.
So now for the actors who get to work with him, again, acting legend, I know you're all professionals, but I have to imagine you go into acting opposite him with certain expectations. So what is something about him as a scene partner that maybe surprised you?
Yeah, I mean, that was mainly me, I guess. Again, surprising. I can't believe they put me in a room with him, man. I mean, you talk about bucket list experiences when you're doing when you're doing our job, and that is a blooming big one. One of the greatest actors of all time. So obviously, I walk in day one, first day with Tony, sorry. I'm standing there sweating in my toga in a big way. I mean, what the hell am I going to say to Anthony Hopkins? How the hell am I going to pull this off? So I'm getting a bit nervous. And then Anthony comes in, surrounded by sort of his entourage of people, trying to do his hair or whatever. And he's like, comes up to me and says, Jojo, how's it going? Tony, respect. And like, he just has so much fun. I think that the big lesson about working with Anthony, because obviously he's a serious actor, like he's a heavyweight, is he's having a great time all day, every day. He's playing the whole time, and he makes you feel great. It fills you with confidence standing and doing a scene with him. Very, very good vibes.
The best part was for some of us actors who didn't get to work with him, we knew Jojo's schedule, so we all stayed in the same hotel. So we were all like gather around in the lobby just waiting for Jojo to get back, and as soon as he comes, he's like, settle down, I've got a story for each one.
Gather around the campfire, I've got a story for you today.
Love hearing the absolute best thing about a hero in this industry. Seriously, some of the qualities you just named are very, very special to have, and I'm glad he has them. Let's get into the history of the show. Ewan, I'll come your way first on this, because someone happened to tell me that you're a real big history buff, so it was making me wonder, what is something specific you found in researching this time period that we can actually see informing how you play Tenax on screen?
Well, that's a big question. That's a good one. I think for me it was more that I needed to understand who the emperor was when he was born, so the conditions in which he became who he is. So then he's a teenager, Nero, and then there's the Year of the Four Emperors, and in my head I sort of mapped out, oh, this is when he must have made his first sort of moves, and then there's a period of relative peace under Sir Anthony Hopkins, and that's when he kind of consolidated himself. So for me, it was learning, understanding that history really helped me sort of place myself in the world. And I've listened to a lot of History of Rome podcast. Thank you, Mike.
Roland, for you, was there anything specific about this time period that you were most looking forward to bringing to life on screen?
For me, it was like that Vespasian was the first man who kind of said, okay, so Rome burned under Nero. He killed himself. And then there was the Year of the Four Emperors, which was the last one. And he stayed in power because he did something absolutely brilliant. He said, I erased like Nero's golden house and built a stadium. A totally different kind of form of stadium which hadn't existed before and still exists today, and it's called the Colosseum. And that was for me the main kind of thing that set everything into motion. That for example, the patricians have a discussion about, we don't get shares, and he says like, well, it's owned by the people of Rome. There was all like kind of all these kind of scenes went from that moment for me.
I'll build on that with you, Moe, a little, because I feel like of most of the cast, you might spend the most considerable amount of time in both the Circus Maximus and the Colosseum. When you're standing on sets like that, what is something that makes you look around and go, like, I cannot believe this is what it takes to bring these sets to life?
Well, that's the thing, you try to hide the excitement as much as you can, because really and truly, I feel like a 10-year-old kid in like gladiator gear and sword just running around, But the grand scheme of the set, it really helps you as an actor as well, because, of course, we go on there and we pretend, but once you see the set, you're like, oh wow, we are really here, we are really at Circus Maximus. And I used to always say I get the best view, because I used to look up to the Imperial platform and see Jojo and Titus, who was played by Tom, and that was such a grand view for me to see. So, and then we had the Colosseum, which was built in one of our stages by Johannes, our art designer. And honestly, you see on the show, and it's absolutely incredible. And it's cliche to say a dream come true, but for me, it's more of a story I can tell when I'm a granddad someday. Yeah.
They're really something else. I love talking about them. I have a feeling you're going to want to see at least one of them in action. And I believe we have a clip to play from the Chariot race, so let's check it out. And feeling the room kind of rattle a little. That was great. Dimitri, I'm going to come your way now about doing scenes like that. Surprise, surprise, we got a two-part question. When you are training to play a chariot racer, what part of that training came most naturally to you? But then I also want to know what was the toughest part of it to wrap your head around?
Gosh, I mean, trying to think back now to that time where we were training. The thing that I found hardest was actually just being around the horses themselves. I'm not someone that spent much time with horses, so I had to sort of fake it immediately. And they wanted me to go and choose a horse to play in Chitatas. I was sort of auditioning several horses and to find the right one. And the first horse was this like veteran actor horse that had done a lot of TV, had done a lot of like film work. And he sort of, came over and I spent some time with it. And then it just, something about it didn't feel right. It was like this really safe sort of option. And then they showed me this other horse called Silaro, who was like this huge, mythical, muscular creature. And had no respect for me at all. I tried to sort of go into the stable and pet it and put like, a leash around it, and it just wouldn't play ball. And the next day I was on set with Roland, and Roland was like, how did it go? And I said, well, there's this one horse that's like a veteran actor that's like really safe, and just, it's an older horse, it's maybe not the most exciting, and then there's this other horse which is like terrifying and has no respect for me. And Roland was like, I think we've got to go for that one. And he was totally right, because there was something in the presence of this huge horse that just felt correct. So that stuff was really, was hard. I had to sort of overcome, being around these horses. I'd never sat on a horse before, so that was tricky for me. But the stuff that came naturally, I think actually, I moved pretty quickly through the sort of levels of the chariot training. We started off on these carriages, and the Hungarian guys that were teaching us had these obstacle courses where we had to go through cones, and they were timing us. So all of us started competing, all the sort of charioteers started competing to have the quickest times, and if you knocked over a tennis ball that was on the cone, you lost 5 seconds. And then we graduated through that process into 2-horse chariots, and eventually 4-horse chariots. And I think I surprised myself. I think all the actors did. By the end, all of us were sort of capable and able to do it. And yeah, genuinely one of the most magical experiences was going around Circus Maximus on a 4-horse chariot and watching the other actors go past in the other direction and realizing how far we'd all come. Yeah.
So envious. I mean, women couldn't do all this. I would have loved to do all this, but I don't think a patrician can. Well,
I'll jump to you next, Gabriella, because we see a lot of really intense action in this show, but there's also a significant amount of like tension and thrill in some of the, I guess the behind-the-scenes political thriller nature of the show, and you're dead center in the middle of all that. So I guess, what is your favorite part about playing such a smart, driven, and capable character in that sphere and gaining power there?
Antonia was really, when I first read the audition, I thought there's something interesting in this, because the two scenes were so different in a way. In this woman can coexist many different elements, and what really kind of was interesting in the first place was that this is a woman that lived in a man's world, where women were not allowed to have a saying, they were not allowed to sit in the Senate, they didn't have any political power or saying. And this is a woman that actually is a politician. She's clever, she's driven, she's so smart that she tries to drive things behind the scenes. She's the one who pulls the strings. She's the one who installs ideas into her husband's ear to kind of make things happen. So the clever aspect of this role was very intriguing for me, mixed to the element of being kind of mad and cruel. And when you are so ego-driven and such a narcissist, there's no boundaries, there's no limits into what you want to pursue. So this allowed me to play a role that was kind of really wild, kind of ferocious, and very, inaspettato, sorry, I'm Italian, I live in Rome, so I'm like a real piece of Rome over here. But yeah. So I think it was very interesting to give voice to a woman back then, because women could not really speak back then. And that was a super fun part to play. Also, I try really hard not to make it the typical villain or to play like a stereotypical bad person, but I wanted to give her like some human traits there. She's also vulnerable, she can be in love with her husband, and those two elements can coexist to be ferocious and evil. So those elements are kind of explosive when they match together. I love the role. As I said, it was the role I've been waiting for 25 years. And so I'm very happy that I got it. Roland was trying to convince me to play another role. We met for dinner after the audition. He was very happy about my audition. I was like, yes, I got this. I went to this dinner, he had his hat on, and he said, hello. He's like, hi, my name is Gabriella. You're perfect for this other role. And I'm like, no, I don't want to play this other role. I want to play this role, but you're too young. So I took out my ID, and I was like, I'm actually the age of the character, so I don't look young. So here I am now, playing my Antonia, as old as she is and proud.
From one super powerful, fierce woman in this show to another with you, Sara. So I feel like Cala, right from the very beginning of this show, just steps in like a force to be reckoned with. So for someone out there who doesn't see her doing fights and crazy stunts, what would you say is the thing that gives her the edge over these other characters who seemingly have more strength and wealth than she does?
Intelligence is such a powerful thing. Yes, definitely. I think what I like about this show is that there are other fights than those in the arena, and basically women, that's what they do. But what can I say? She is strong. She's driven by the children. That's the alpha and the omega. Omega, alpha, of what she's doing, everything for her children, to her children, by her children. And she's not one of the few who's not seeking power, fame, or money. And that's another strength.
Beating heart of a mother in the show is so strong. And I will also say, as I teed up that question, I'm like, you don't get to fight. You get one of the most killer hand-to-hand combat scenes in this entire season. And you own every second of it.
Well, thank you. I worked on it.
Yes, seriously, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about if you haven't already, which you should have, when you finish the show. But I'm going to veer back towards the beating heart of a mother, and we're going to tee up a beautiful clip, one of my favorite scenes of the whole show. Let's roll this one. Into your collaboration right now. One of the things that fascinates me most about playing on-screen family is, I imagine you have a great script to work with, but I always find you can find more about your character through the scene partner playing their family member. So can you each tell me something about the other that helped you find something in your character?
Well, as I said earlier, one of the best things about filming this show is that we all kind of spent a lot of time together in Rome. And with Roland, we kind of did a tour of all the restaurants around Rome and got to know each other really well. And me and Sara, and just understanding what a powerful woman she is. She's so beautiful and she's so calming and so soothing, but there's this inner fire that she has inside of her, which kind of just sets the mind straight. So a lot of times my character kind of loses his head and just, does madness. And in those moments, it's his mum who kind of like, listen boy, maybe a slap here and there. And,
Actually, I have to apologize in front of everyone, because in that scene, I didn't know what can I say or do to kind of send my son to fight. And we were rehearsing and trying to, emphasize and okay, say it. And we ended up joking we were joking about how our African mother raised us in, a strong way, and we made that joke about, she would like say it, bang.
It was a joke. It was a joke.
Yeah, but let's do it.
She was slapping. She was like, oh, that would be a great idea.
Yeah, and so we did, and
do you know how many times we did that scene, by the way? 30 times.
Exactly, so now I want to apologize because I didn't hold it and I just slapped you 30 times and you never said anything well raised.
Yeah. A lot of questions I get about like the gladiator fights. No one asks me about when Sarah slapped me 30 times in a scene.
It all produces great results, so I'm glad all that behind the scenes work went into it. This is the worst transition because I'm going from, I guess, like the most wholesome family on the show to maybe not so much with you, Jojo. So
Fair enough, yeah.
you're too good at playing bad in this show. Just like cannot take my eyes off of you doing some of the worst stuff. Surprise, surprise, I have a two-part question. Was there anything really bad Domitian did that you kind of like reveled in playing? You really, really loved it. But then can you also tell me something he did that, you know, took you work to wrap your head around to believe in the moment?
Oh man, yeah. Oh God. You know, I started watching it the other day, watching the show back. Blimey, these guys so mean. I can't remember him being that mean. Not a nice bloke. Not a nice bloke. It was me when I first came to Rome. I was hanging out a lot with Alessandro Benedetti, who plays Hermes, and is a real little legend, that guy. And we spent a long time together. And there's a bit of a spoiler. I do some pretty nasty stuff to Alessandro later on in the show. And that was really tough because we were really close mates and our characters were really interlocked, and it was like a sort of, he does a lot of things like his meanness starts to turn in on himself and he becomes very self-destructive, which I guess is maybe nice to watch as an audience member. It's nice to watch the bad guy kind of rip himself apart. Which is, you know, that's fun. It's fun to play. Pretty nasty as well.
There's a lot of bad you do. I will just say I appreciate the complexity in your performance when he's super bad, but kind of like turns into like a little fearful boy at moments. There's some really beautiful emotional beats that I didn't see coming with it.
I mean, he's definitely kind of like, he is a bit of a man baby. He's a bit stunned, like sort of, he's not quite got it all together, but he's lived up, you know, he's grown up in a situation that's almost impossible to relate to, you know. He's son of the emperor, growing up in this hugely isolated world, and he's become horribly bitter and twisted, and I mean, he spends, you know, his hobby, this is an actual Domitian fact. Domitian facts. That's an actual Domitian fact. He used to lock himself in his bed chambers for days, release a load of insects, and then try and catch them by skewering them on a pen. So we just stand there for hours.
Mamma mia.
Crazy dude.
What a fun fact. I'm about to tee up one of my favorite clips of this whole panel because, again, you can probably already see it in the clips that we've shown, but the filming feats that are on display in this are really something else. But before we tee up the behind-the-scenes featurette, I'll throw this to the whole panel. Can anyone name something particular they saw done on the set of Those About to Die that made them stop and go, like, I cannot believe this is what it takes to make it look like that on the screen?
Actually, I'm going to jump in real quick, the short one. Sorry, and I've been absolutely yapping back here. But, talking about Roland's LED wall screen situations, there were, on 3 occasions, I'm standing on the set with these LED wraparound screens, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to pop out, get a bit of air, get a little espresso, good vibes, walk off the stage, think I'm walking out the exit, and then wham! Straight into the telly. Great. What was the question?
I kind of answered it with that. Anyone else got a good example of something on set that really wowed them?
I guess, seeing it now, obviously I had no idea what I was looking at through that little gap, and there's a chariot race going on, and there's a guy there just chucking dust in my face, and it's like, but then to see it now, it's just amazing, and yeah, so I guess now I'm seeing what I was supposed to be seeing, but at the time I was pretending that there was this big race going on, and there's just a person throwing dust at me.
When I saw Giraffe, I remember one day I arrived in my makeup trailer, and then I'm like, am I having an hallucination or this is a hippo? So there was a hippo just like calmly, just staying in it was so hot, the poor animal was there. That day also we had a love story happening on set because a giraffe and an elephant, they escaped the lot. So all the Italian, attenzione, correte dietro, aiuto, chiamate qualcuno. They all went wild because these two animals decided to escape. So basically around Cinecittà, we had these two animals running, and then they caught them at the end of the road, and apparently they were very happy afterwards. They had some, I don't know, romantic encounter. But yeah, it was very funny. So all these animals and horses, I remember one day in this huge screen, which is weird because when the screen moves, you feel like dizzy, like, oh my, you know, because it's attached, again, it's another one of those technology that I have no idea how they work. You told me 50 times, I'm like, yeah, no idea. So apparently there's something on the camera that kind of sets where the image has to be projected on the screen, something like that, not sure, whatever. But if that moves, everything else moves around, so it's very hard to act, because there are actually some real kind of set built in real stuff, like props, and then there is this projection behind it. So you're like in this weird dimension, then horses arrived and they're real. Yeah, so it was a pretty surreal and amazing. Yeah, immersive.
That's the word.
Well, actually, something that was fun was getting to learn what a Lego set means. You know, which is basically a set which, just like Legos, where you can just move things around and make it into different places at the same time by just using one stage. I think that was quite fun learning about that. A Lego set.
All wonderful examples. I don't know how many of them we're going to see in this featurette right now, but really, again, if you want to see filming magic, that's what you're going to see on the screen right now. So let us share an exclusive behind-the-scenes featurette from those about to die now.
They're in the dark. I've never seen that before, it's great.
I'm such a nerd for behind-the-scenes details, so something like that thrills me just as much as the finished product. Roland, I'll ask you this question, because I feel like it's a very hot topic of conversation, when to choose digital effects over practical effects, and I feel like people just saw you had a really nice balance of the two on this show, so can you kind of talk us through how you picked what was right when?
Well, the first thing was like for me, you know, I kind of said a lot of the horses in the horse races are digital. So we have to kind of really make a very good kind of what is real, what is not real. And, you know, naturally also all the shipwrecks when they crash, you cannot like hurt any horse. So that's why you like go for digital. And that's quite a challenge. Also the white lion, which you know, he catches at the very beginning and is more or less like kind of becomes like in his mind Titus, is also all digital, which was difficult because we had very little time to shoot it, and then naturally, you know, some of these shots were finished like in the last week or so. So that's the thing. And so overall, you know, for me, it's always like I go totally by instinct. What I kind of think should be digital, what should be real.
Something else. The digital stuff that you just emphasized is something else. And Mo, we're going to wrap with a really cool clip that showcases you quite strongly. There's a lot of very real hand-to-hand combat happening for you throughout Those About to Die. So we got a good question to back pocket, but first we're going to see you in action. Let's roll our final clip of the panel. Be enough time to do that, so I'll just ask you this one single question. If you can isolate a specific part of the Kwame Flama fight that was most difficult for you, what was it and why?
The most difficult part was reminding Martin, who's been played by Flama, that we are actors and we are pretending. And all the moves are choreographed, so there's no need for surprises. Because he did actually forget a lot of times, because he is actually a real fighter in a certain way. So that was actually I mean, I'm still recovering from what he's yeah.
Again, it's one of many epic fight scenes you have in the show, and I will re-emphasize, the show is available to stream in full on Peacock. If you have not done that yet, please jump on it. And just in case some of you have not done that yet, that's what this last question is for. I want everybody to tease a scene that maybe they're most proud of or just most excited for everybody in the audience to get to witness.
Shall I go?
Yeah.
Well, I have to fight that man again. So that's just that's the first one. So what I can tease is that we fight again. Where'd you go from here, right?
Well, I think there's a particularly exciting event that happened in the year '79, and it's very explosive, if you know what I mean. And that's represented very well in the show. I'm not going to say when. But yeah, I think when I was reading it, that was the most. I was so excited by that. I mean, as I said, I'm a bit of a history, and I kind of yeah, I love that. It's so yeah, punctuates the series beautifully, and it's very exciting.
I'm excited when they flood the Colosseum. So the whole kind of water inside the Colosseum and all that scene is magnificent.
Great idea. It was a great idea, wasn't it?
Who else wants to shout one out? Dimitri, what you got for us?
My mind's gone so blank. I've got like jet lag, so forgive me. I'm like, am I in the show? Where am I? Who are these people? Let me think. I mean, I'm being biased, but I think the stakes as the races go on, and we start to learn more about the athletes as people and not just them as competitors. The races take on a new dimension where you see the stakes, the personal stakes for the charioteers and the inner conflicts between the athletes. The first few races are a little more impersonal as they just feel like a sports event, but towards the end, when you know the conflicts and what is at stake for Tenax and Scorpus and for all of the competitors, I think it's really rewarding for the audience as there's so much at stake in each race.
Good example. All right, I'll toss it to the audience. I'll also just throw out one more scene for you of Sarah's. I've already mentioned it on this panel. That fight you have a hand-to-hand fight scene that's really good. Yeah. Shout it out. It was great work. All right, so now it is time for us to throw it to all of you. We are going to play some trivia. If you get a question right, you're going to get something really cool, I promise you. So, who has our first person? I don't think I can say. Oh, the mic is right there in the middle. Who dares to answer a trivia question to get something cool? Trust me, you want what they have. I promise you that. Hello, what's your name first?
Hi, my name's Jason.
Hi, Jason. All right.
I did just get fired.
Jason, name someone on this panel and they'll give you the trivia question they have. No one will get offended, I promise.
For Iwan?
Okay, so Ewan, what's the first trivia question you have?
For me?
Yeah, ask him.
Oh gosh. I've been trying to job hunt, I haven't watched the show yet.
Well, you'll be alright with this one. What is the title of the Roland Emmerich film about a sudden international storm that plunges the planet into a new ice age?
The Day After Tomorrow?
Correct!
Look at what it is. Do you see some cool stuff on it?
Oh, shoot, yeah.
See?
All signed.
Yeah,
Wow.
I told you we were giving amazing stuff.
Thank you.
Congratulations. All right, who wants to compete for a signed subscription to Peacock next? Oh, but now people start getting all excited. I should have mentioned that earlier. Hello, what is your name and who would you like a question from?
Hi, I'm Oscar. That's a good question. Oh.
What's good, Oscar? Iwan and Dimitri play brothers in what series starring Julia Stiles?
God, tough one.
I'm sorry, bro. The other question was already answered, but yeah.
I have no clue.
Can I answer for Oscar? I feel like I've done him dirty.
What?
How do we help him, Iwan?
How can you help me?
It's a coast in South France, do you know what?
Begins in R and ends in...
Nice is on it.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, bro.
Bro has flopped you.
I'm already disappointed.
Give the second question.
Go.
Come on.
Okay, this shows if you were listening. Which Those About to Die cast member was nearly cast as a different character?
This is like a question
This was-
if you were paying attention.
No, this was actually, someone said this today.
Amanda?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to this. Did someone say it?
You wasn't listening.
On this panel, Oscar.
Amanda. Amanda?
Who's it?
Sorry.
Antonia.
Oh, yeah.
Antonia.
No.
Yeah, you're right.
Riviera.
We got there eventually. Hello, what is your name and who do you dare to pick to give you your question?
My name is Will and Roland.
Okay. Name 2 directors, characters in Those About to Die who were based on real people.
Real people.
So I haven't seen the show.
That's why you really need this Peacock subscription.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna go with, just throw it out there, Antonia and... Did I even know any of the characters' names? Titus? I don't know his name.
Yeah, the last one was right. And
Not
who was
history
his
buff.
father? And who was his father?
Good luck.
Okay.
Disputation.
Yes.
All right, who is next up? I feel like we're freaking people out with these trivia questions right now. Hello.
My name is Michaela, and I'll take a question from Gabriella.
Yes? In the Roland Emmerich classic, Independence Day, what day do the aliens arrive?
Really hoping it's July 4th.
No, it's Tuesday.
Go back 2 days.
Wait, that's not right.
They arrive on the 2nd, they attack on the 4th.
I'm an archaeologist. I thought
There was a teaser trailer. Have you not seen that? 2nd of July. 3rd of July.
I see.
And 4th of
I thought it was a softball.
No. Anyhow.
So should I go with the second question?
Yeah, let's get it.
Well, 2 is very close to 4.
If he's close enough to 4, we'll take it.
Ok. No, ma che in italiano non posso. Allora. You can watch Jojo in this A+ teen comedy series alongside Asa Butterfield and Emma Mackey. Mackey. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, like I said, I'm an archaeologist. I live in the past.
Here.
I feel like you deserve 2 prizes today. You deserve the prize that we're giving out, but the second prize is that Sex Education is a wonderful show. So after you binge Those About to Die, you can go watch that next. All right.
I love the show, by the way. I love that show.
Who's next up on the mic?
Hi, my name is Timothy, and I'll take a question from Dimitri.
Good choice. The iconic actor Moe Hashim has now been in 2 big TV shows. those about to die, and what else?
I do not.
You should go up. Why are you sitting there? You know all the answers.
Yeah. No, he didn't answer yet. Okay, no, didn't have time.
No, I do not know.
Go up there.
10 last.
All right, with that, we have to wind this down. I'm going to say a huge thank you to everybody out there for joining us. And I'll say a reminder, you can watch all of those about to die on Peacock right now. And then on top of that, you can also actually go out and experience the Circus Maximus yourself, because there's a really cool activation happening right here in San Diego, 178 6th Avenue. Go check it out. Thank you all for sharing some of your experience with us.
Thank you, everyone.